My phone is something I try to use as little as possible, and like a lot of people, I'm constantly experimenting with ways to use it less. I've fallen in love with carrying a pocket notebook to replace the Notes app for journaling and ideas, and more recently, I've been carrying a little point and shoot to replace the camera app. This Canon PowerShot was a 14th birthday gift from my parents, and I've basically been using it ever since.
So this one shoots in 1920 by 1080 quality.
But as much as I love it, this little camera isn't all that I'd like it to be. As a daily pocket camera, it's not the best. It is small, but it has very short battery life, small sensor, bad in low light. So for my daily carry, in comes another Canon point and shoot. But of course, before using it, I need to make it my own, with some repairs and modifications. Most of my cameras have some sort of a cage. These provide extra mounting points for various accessories like microphones and tripod plates. They can also provide extra weight and grip for smaller camera bodies. In the case of the pocket camera, I don't want to add too much size, but I do want a second battery holster. These batteries are tiny, so it'll be nice to have a spare, and it won't add much total thickness to the thing. Now, at this point you might be thinking, well, if you want a low profile, good quality camera with good battery life, why don't you just use your phone? Well, I want something that matches my other cameras, not the auto-enhanced phone footage. A similar experience to my bigger cameras. Something I can just spend an afternoon shooting on for fun. And as it happens, in the middle of this project, that opportunity presented itself when a nail through my tire stranded me. I'm getting a tire patched right now, so I have about an hour to kill. I'm just walking around with this new camera. This is the perfect example of how the portability is like a huge benefit, because I just happened to have this in my pocket. I wouldn't have had a camera otherwise, so that works out pretty nicely. Now I have something to do while I wait for the tire patch. As I was walking around this random suburb grabbing shots, I was kind of surprised with how fun it was. I used to just spontaneously shoot stuff all the time when I was a kid. When a point and shoot was all I had, I didn't even have a phone. There's some magic to this that I've never felt with a phone camera. Alright, so I'm currently on the rooftop of some random university that I've never been to. I don't know if I'm supposed to be here, but I've got a nice view of the tire repair shop my car's at. So I should be able to see when it's done and run back over there. Having a camera on you at all times is not like a novel concept anymore in the age of smartphones, but it's not as special, it's not as fun. I've got an hour to kill, and it wouldn't have even crossed my mind to just go out and shoot stuff on my iPhone. But since I have this thing in my pocket, it turns it into a fun thing. Hey, it survived for a whole 10-minute clip. Oh, there we go. Returning to my studio, I continued the work on the custom cage. First up is the main plate, which will provide some structure for the battery holster to mount onto. I didn't really know what I was doing here. I've never soldered copper before. I found hitting the piece with a heat gun helped get things flowing. I don't know how you're actually supposed to do this, but in any case, I got a solid joint. I just had this stuff laying around and figured it might be good for this application. With a better setup and more practice, I'm sure I could make some nice stuff out of copper, but I'm treating this project as a bit of a proof of concept. For future projects like this, I'll probably just use steel. I think soldering is a lot harder than welding when your product is basically a giant heat sink. But in any case, I was making progress, and before long, I was ready to fuse my cage with the battery holster. After applying a lot of flux, a lot of heat, and a lot of solder, I had my completed metal thing. And with that modification, my new little Canon point and shoot becomes a part of my everyday carry. And now, all that's left is to give it its first proper test. As I was out shooting, what this whole thing was about finally clicked. The ultimate pocket camera to replace my phone. It's not about quality. If I'm being real with myself, the iPhone footage might look better. It's not about the 1-inch sensor, the internal ND filter, the custom color profiles for grading. All those things are nice, but what I'm really after is the feeling of going out and shooting for fun on a tiny little point and shoot, like when I was a kid.
As you may have noticed, this video is in higher quality than my previous videos, which is because I got a new camera. The Canon PowerShot something 330 something.
Hey Captain, I have my camera zoomed up on a deer.
So you can see why it took me so long. It's a pretty long screen.
Maybe it's the less processed look. Maybe it's the physical zoom rocker. Maybe it's the lack of apps to distract me. But for whatever reason, this camera gets me out and shooting in a way that a phone never has. So at the end of all this, carrying a pocket camera daily has gotten me to use my phone less, but actually capture more. Thank you for your time. That was the train I was waiting for. The 1 second I'm not holding my camera, the train comes by.